At first, no one noticed the sun fading, just a faint dimming across the midday sky, like a whisper before a scream. Then, in less than 60 seconds, the world turned gray. Power grids flickered, satellites blinked out. The golden warmth vanished, leaving a cold silence so deep it pressed against the chest. In NASA's Solar Dynamics lab, screens went black one by one. Dr. Elara Voss stood frozen before the lifeless monitors, unable to process the impossible. The sun's radiation output had dropped to 0. Commander Jalen Ortiz ordered a full diagnostic, his voice trembling beneath practiced calm. Dr. Noah Grant stared at the solar feed, whispering, "It's not an eclipse. Outside, day and night blurred into one endless twilight. Across the world, billions looked upward at a dead star. But deep in the static, NASA's instruments caught something faint, a low, rhythmic pulse. Not silence, communication. By hour 3, the world had entered a muted panic. Planes grounded mid-flight, cities shrouded in a false dusk. The sun wasn't gone, it was dormant. NASA's feeds showed no radiation, no heat, no sound. In the darkened lab, Ilara replayed the final seconds of data over and over, searching for an anomaly, a clue, anything. Jalen coordinated emergency briefings with the Pentagon, his calm exterior concealing an unraveling mind. Noah isolated a strange low-frequency vibration embedded in the static, a rhythmic pulse repeating every 8 seconds. It wasn't noise. It was structured, deliberate. When he amplified it, the waveform resembled a heartbeat. Alara leaned in, voice breaking. "Is it alive?" The speakers answered with another faint thump. Slow, steady, impossibly organic. The sun wasn't silent. It was speaking. Around the globe, darkness bred chaos. Tides surged unpredictably, winds stalled, and satellites tumbled like silent ghosts through the stratosphere. Inside NASA, Jalen's team struggled to maintain global communication. The pulse intensified, now audible across radio bands worldwide. Alara noticed the rhythm matching Earth's magnetic fluctuations, as though the planet itself was sensing to the sun's heartbeat. Noah's face paled. The wave pattern began forming distinct sequences like binary code. Each pulse seemed to spell out a message. "It's talking to us," Alara whispered, fingers trembling over the controls. Outside, auroras began to form, not in polar skies, but across Washington, D.C., green and violet curtains sweeping above the Capitol dome. The sun had stopped shining, yet it was sending light of another kind. By the 10th hour, global temperatures dropped by 2 degrees. Oceans steamed faintly under their own retained heat. The sun remained dark, but its magnetic field surged to unpredictable strength. Instruments overloaded. In the lab, the trio huddled around a single surviving console. The pulse signal evolved, no longer rhythmic, now melodic, almost human. Jalen tried to re-establish satellite link. Nothing responded. Alara's screen displayed a faint, spiraling structure embedded within the data, a pattern resembling DNA. Noah whispered, "It's constructing something." The room trembled as the pulse reached a peak, shaking the glass. Alara clutched the console as the waveform stabilized into a glowing helix. Then, abruptly, it stopped. Silence again, but this time heavier, purposeful. And within that silence, one last faint vibration echoed like a whisper through the speakers. Awakening. The night of the first day arrived, though no stars shone. The world was wrapped in ink. NASA's deep space antennas went offline, one by one, overwhelmed by electromagnetic distortion. Yet one antenna in Chile remained active, receiving a transmission not from deep space but from the sun itself. The signal was encoded with coordinates. Alara cross-referenced them, and froze. They pointed not to the sun's core, but to a region just outside its photosphere, as if something vast was moving beneath its surface. "We're not seeing the sun shut down," she whispered. "We're seeing it molt." The lab lights flickered as the hum grew louder, a vibration resonating through the floor, through their bones. Noah's voice trembled. "If that's not the sun, what is it?" The console emitted one last blip of data, a single word in binary: hello. For 72 hours, the sun's silence echoed across the universe. Yet in NASA's command center, the quiet was broken by a single rhythmic tone, pulsing through the speakers. Each beat carried a pattern, too precise to be random, too deliberate to be natural. Dr. Alar Voss sat motionless, decoding fragments that resembled binary clusters shaped like coordinates. Commander Jalen Ortiz coordinated the deep space antenna array, his voice cracking over the static as he issued commands. Dr. Noah Grant analyzed spectral signatures, his data revealing that the sound wasn't sound at all. It was a modulation of electromagnetic fields, as if the sun had turned into a transmitter. The world outside remained locked in gray twilight. And then, without warning, the signal shifted pitch. Its waveform spiked into perfect symmetry, forming a frequency never recorded before. The pulse repeated 6 times, each one identical like a code waiting to be answered. As the code repeated, Alara noticed something strange. The waveform mirrored Earth's own electromagnetic resonance. Every pulse rippled through the atmosphere, subtly altering compass readings and aurora formations. Jalen tracked the global data on his screen, watching as power grids fluctuated in perfect sync with the rhythm. "It's controlling our field," he murmured, the realization freezing his breath. Noah enhanced the signal, uncovering faint geometric shapes within its harmonics, tessellations of triangles and circles, perfectly aligned, as though drawn by intelligence itself. For a moment, the pattern formed a symbol, eerily resembling the human DNA. "Spiral." Elara's voice trembled. "It's mapping us." The signal paused for 20 seconds, then resumed, stronger, sharper, more insistent, like something knocking on the walls of space waiting for an answer. Hour 30 brought revelation and fear. Noah discovered that when the signal peaked, atomic clocks across the planet briefly lost synchronization by exactly 1 millisecond. That meant time itself was bending. Elara cross-referenced the solar transmission with cosmic background radiation and found echoes stretching beyond the solar system, like the sun was bouncing a message off the universe. "It's not just transmitting," she whispered. "It's talking to something out there." Jalen's gaze hardened as he watched the real-time solar feed. The surface of the sun, still dark, now showing faint ripples moving beneath, the blackened plasma, like shadows swimming under ice. Each ripple aligned with the pulse's frequency, as if the sun's surface were responding. Alara's pulse raced. The idea formed in her mind before she could stop it. What if the sun wasn't dead at all? What if it was listening? By the next morning, reports arrived from Antarctica. Auroras, glowing blood red under the light of a dead star. The pulse had reached the ice caps. Noah realized the pattern in the data matched the frequency of human brain waves during ROM's sleep. "Why?" Elara froze. "It's communicating in the language of thought." Across the globe, synchronized dreams were being reported. People seeing a burning sphere of glass suspended in black space. Jalen ordered deep space telescopes reoriented toward the sun's core. The first images returned, shattered fragments of light swirling within its darkness, arranged like concentric rings. They weren't natural structures. They looked built. Noah's voice shook. Something's inside it. And then the pulse stopped altogether. The silence returned, heavier than before, as if the sun was holding its breath, waiting for them to respond. The silence broke again, not as sound, but as data. Numbers streamed across Alara's console, flowing like a digital river of coordinates pointing toward the outer solar system. The message was unmistakable. A destination. "It's calling us somewhere," Noah whispered. Jalen overlaid the coordinates on a star chart, and his face drained of color. The location wasn't random. It was in perfect alignment with Voyager 1's current trajectory, the oldest human-made signal still traveling beyond the heliosphere. Ilara's breath caught. It's replying to Voyager. The realization settled over them like a weight. The sun had received humanity's message to the stars, and now something inside it was sending an answer back. As the signal faded, the monitors went black again, leaving only the echo of one lingering word in the data log: return. 48 hours into the blackout, the sun stirred. A faint ring of crimson light flared along its dead horizon, pulsing in rhythmic bursts. NASA's solar telescopes captured the impossible. Each flash lasted precisely 0.7 seconds, spaced at identical intervals. Dr. Alara Voss watched the waveforms stabilize, heart hammering. "It's breathing again," she whispered. Commander Jalen Ortiz synchronized instruments, recording electromagnetic spikes rippling across space. Dr. Noah Grant enhanced the spectral data and froze. The pulse wasn't random. It formed a repeating sequence of light and dark resembling genetic code. Humanity was staring at the universe's first stellar heartbeat. As the final pulse faded, the pattern etched itself into every active satellite feed around Earth, a luminous signature that read like a warning carved in photons. Ilara's voice trembled. "It's alive, and it's remembering us," NASA declared an emergency solar alert. Across continents, the faint red flicker painted the sky each time the sun pulsed. Like a heartbeat visible through the clouds, power grids trembled under electromagnetic surges. In the control room, Ilara analyzed the repeating bursts. Each carried an encoded binary signature, translating roughly into prime numbers. "It's counting," Noah murmured, disbelief etched in his tone. Jalen relayed findings to the global network, but interference shredded every signal beyond low Earth orbit. The sun's silent rhythm grew faster, aligning perfectly with Earth's own magnetic resonance. Instruments hummed like tuning forks. Lyra stared at the screen, realization dawning that the pulses were not only communication, they were calibration. Something inside the sun was synchronizing itself with Earth, like two entities preparing for connection. And then, the pulse stopped mid-cycle. Silence. Waiting. The next transmission came not from light, but from shadow. NASA's space telescopes captured immense dark shapes moving across the sun's surface, massive geometric patterns that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Each formation appeared briefly, then dissolved like ink in water. Ilara enhanced the imagery, and her screen filled with angular lattices, forming a vast spiral, spiraling inward toward the sun's core. Noah's voice cracked. "That's not plasma behavior. It's architecture." Jalen tightened his jaw. Then someone built it. The structure began rotating slowly, casting fractal shadows across the heliosphere, distorting solar winds like invisible hands stirring a sea of fire. For the first time, they weren't just studying the sun. They were witnessing construction on a stellar scale, and buried within the noise of radiation, one simple sequence repeated endlessly. "We remember you." As the shadow lattice expanded, radio observatories worldwide detected bursts of microwave radiation, arranged like sequences of musical tones. When converted to audio, the signal formed a haunting melodic hum that resonated deep within the chest. "It's harmonizing," Ilara whispered. The tones mapped to chemical signatures of elements forged in stars: hydrogen, helium, carbon, an entire cosmic language written in sound. Noah calculated that each tone aligned with the sun's rotational rhythm, forming a celestial metronome, marking a countdown. Jalen's stomach tightened. Every loop shortened by 1 second. "It's accelerating," he muttered. The hum deepened, shaking the glass panels. Around the world, skies flickered red again. Alara clutched her headset, realization cutting through the noise. It's building energy for something. And when the final tone dropped to silence, every sensor flatlined. Then came the flash. For one blinding instant, every sky on Earth turned white. Sensors overloaded, satellites died, and humanity held its breath. When vision returned, the sun blazed once more. But its light had changed. Its spectrum was narrower, colder, as though filtered through invisible glass. On the monitors, Alara saw a final data imprint embedded in the burst. A perfect double helix pattern encoded in light. It's the same sequence, Noah gasped. The one they'd seen in Act 1, the human genetic pattern. Jalen stepped closer, realization dawning that whatever lived inside the sun now knew who had been watching. The pulse faded, leaving behind a still, steady glow. "We've been cataloged," Alara whispered, the weight of her words hanging like gravity itself. For the first time in history, the sun had looked back. The sun burned again, but not as before. Its surface fractured into shifting geometries, edges folding inward like mirrored glass. Across Earth, skies shimmered in impossible hues, auroras twisting over deserts, glowing even under daylight. In NASA's command center, the new light bent through the windows in prismatic shards. Dr. Alara Voss studied its spectral output. It wasn't ordinary radiation. The readings showed unfamiliar wavelengths, energies no human instrument had recorded. Commander Jalen Ortiz called for containment protocols, but every shield failed. The light wasn't just visible, it was intelligent. "Doctor," Noah Grant's voice broke the silence. "It's scanning us." The beam's frequency fluctuated, passing through the lab like a ghostly tide. Every reflection on every screen began to move on its own, forming faint, mirrored silhouettes of the team. And then, as quickly as it came, the glow vanished, leaving behind a silence too deep to trust. By noon, instruments registered fluctuations in Earth's magnetic field strong enough to distort compasses worldwide. Planes grounded. Satellites spun off alignment. The sun's geometry shifted again, its corona curling into spirals that looked eerily deliberate. Alara ran the numbers. The spirals followed Fibonacci's. "It's building order out of chaos," she whispered. Jalen's voice came low through the static. "Or chaos out of us." Noah overlaid new solar data onto Earth's magnetic map. The lines intersected perfectly, forming a grid that wrapped the planet in invisible symmetry. For a moment, every electronic signal sensed humming at one resonant pitch. Then, abruptly, total blackout. All communication ceased. In that frozen moment, Alara looked toward the window and saw the sun shimmer, its entire surface folding inward like a lens adjusting focus, as though it had turned its gaze directly upon them. Night arrived early. The sky, no longer black, shimmered like liquid glass. Auroras spread to the equator, their tendrils illuminating oceans and cities in spectral light. Alara examined radiation readings, normal in output, impossible in pattern. "It's not emitting energy," she murmured. "It's shaping it." Noah compared global magnetometer data and found oscillations syncing with human heart rates. "It's inside us now," he said quietly. Jalen turned toward him, disbelief hardening into fear. Outside, faint streaks of silver light drifted downward, dissolving upon contact with the atmosphere, like microscopic seeds. The air itself seemed charged, humming faintly. Alara reached toward the window, light rippling across her palm. For an instant, it responded, shaping to her movement like living liquid. The sun no longer shone from afar. It was interacting, reaching through space to touch everything alive. The next morning, sunlight fractured completely. Beams split midair, scattering into holographic fragments that drifted across the atmosphere. Global instruments failed to measure its velocity. Photons no longer behaved like light. Alara staring at the data, realized the energy was facing in and out of known space. "The sun's light is vanishing between dimensions," she whispered. Noah mapped each disappearance. Every region of missing light formed perfect circles, expanding like ripples across the solar system. Jalen stood silent, watching a live feed of Earth's daylight map flicker in geometric patches. For the first time in history, light itself had coordinates. The phenomenon wasn't random. It was recursive. Each vanishing zone repeating in harmonic rhythm. "It's rewriting physics," Alara said softly. But Noah's next words silenced the room. "Or maybe it's rewriting us." Then at 200 UTC, every shadow on Earth aligned, from skyscrapers to mountain peaks. They pointed not away from the sun but toward it, bending backward, defying geometry. Panic rippled through global feeds as cities watched their own darkness reach skyward. Alara's team scrambled to measure the event, but every detector reported impossible readings. Negative radiation, reversed entropy. The sun's core had inverted its fusion polarity, consuming light instead of producing it. "It's collapsing inward," Noah breathed, but Alara shook her head. "No, it's transforming." Outside, the dark sphere pulsed once, then expelled a single beam of pure white energy that struck the moon, leaving a glowing mark visible from Earth. For a heartbeat, every reflective surface on the planet mirrored the same shape. A luminous eye staring back. Humanity had just witnessed the sun's rebirth, or its awakening. The beam that struck the moon didn't fade. It multiplied. Within hours, lunar telescopes recorded a lattice of glowing lines crawling across its surface, geometric and deliberate. NASA's data stream filled with symbols no computer could classify. Dr. Alara Voss stared at the pattern, her breath shallow. It wasn't language. It was mathematics woven into light. Commander Jalen Ortiz ordered global telescopes to triangulate, and every coordinate pointed not outward, but inward, toward Earth's core. "The sun's message isn't leaving," Alara whispered. "It's coming home, Doctor." Noah Grant decrypted part of the lattice. Hidden inside the brightness was a pulse identical to human neural frequencies. The realization froze the room. The sun wasn't just talking to them, it was rewriting the very code of thought itself. Outside, the moon shone like a living circuit, humming faintly across the night sky. The lunar lattice pulsed again, sending a signal that cascaded through Earth's ionosphere. Instruments recorded a burst of data shaped like DNA strands, rotating at light speed. "It's copying us," Noah murmured. Alara isolated one sequence and found nucleotides rearranging into patterns resembling orbital maps. Jalen traced them, realizing the genetic code formed a solar chart. Each base pair marking a planet, each mutation representing movement. "It's mapping our solar memory," Alara said softly. The sun was recording history in biological syntax. For an instant, the team felt the faint vibration beneath their feet. Phones, radios, even heart monitors echoed the same rhythm. Life itself had joined the signal. The sun wasn't just cataloging matter. It was cataloging consciousness. The implications were unbearable, yet undeniable. The code was them. Hours later, the decoded fragments began forming words. Not in English, but in pure mathematical relationships. Alara converted them into sound frequencies, and through the speakers came a low or harmonic resonance that shaped patterns in nearby dust. "It's physical code," she breathed. Each frequency rearranged matter into fractal spirals, mirroring ancient solar formations. Jalen watched in silence as the dust spirals pulsed to the rhythm of his own heartbeat, recorded by the system. "It's responding to us individually," he whispered. Noah's computations revealed that every human biometric on Earth now carried a trace of the signal. "We're part of the equation." The sun had embedded information inside the living. As the resonance deepened, the team realized the message wasn't warning or threat. It was instruction. The blueprint of a bridge between stars. The pattern grew more complex, translating into equations predicting energy conversion beyond nuclear fusion. Alara realized they were looking at the physics of creation itself. "This is how stars are born," she whispered. The sun was teaching them. Jalen uploaded the data into NASA's Deep Core simulation. Instantly, every processor overloaded. The simulation rendered an image, a sphere of light expanding within darkness, identical to early universe models. Noah cross-checked the math. It predated the Big Bang. "We're reading a memory older than time." As the hologram stabilized, a final algorithm appeared, an equation containing 3 unknown variables, labeled simply as observer, origin, light. Alara felt a chill. The code wasn't explaining physics, it was asking a question. What happens when the observer becomes the origin? At 72 hours exactly, the signal ceased. Every instrument fell silent. Every beam of the sun stabilized. Normal light returned. But the data remained. The final decoded fragment was a string of numbers translating to coordinates on Earth. A small island in the Pacific, uninhabited. Alara looked up from the console, her eyes shimmering with disbelief. "It's here," she said. Jalen authorized an expedition. Noah stared at the faint afterimage still glowing on the monitor, a golden helix spinning endlessly. Maybe the sun left something behind. Outside, dawn rose for the first time in 3 days. The world exhaled. Yet within the new sunlight shimmered a subtle pattern invisible to most. A soft pulse, like a heartbeat hiding in plain sight. Humanity had learned to listen, and the universe had answered. 3 days after the sun's silence ended, a NASA vessel cut across the Pacific toward a set of coordinates that should have been empty ocean. Dr. Alara Voss watched the horizon blur into mist, her data tablet glowing with solar readings that refused to stabilize. Commander Jalen Ortiz stood at the helm, his voice steady, but eyes drawn to the magnetic compass spinning aimlessly. Dr. Noah Grant monitored sensors showing faint energy, pulses beneath the waves, identical to the sun's heartbeat. As night fell, the sea glowed faintly gold, waves rippling with light instead of foam. "It's following us," Alara whispered. Instruments confirmed the truth. The same pulse that once radiated from the sun now beat from beneath the ship. The ocean itself had become the transmitter. By dawn, the fog parted to reveal a circle of calm water, 1 kilometer wide, perfectly still amid churning waves. Satellite links failed the moment the ship crossed its edge. Alara sent out a sonar ping. It never returned. "Depth unknown," Noah murmured. Jalen ordered a probe drop. The feed showed particles of light drifting downward, like slow-falling snow, illuminating what looked like smooth metallic terrain beneath the sea. "It's solid," Alara said, disbelief softening her tone. The readings matched no known alloy, yet carried the same quantum signature as solar plasma. The sun's pulse wasn't just data. It had built something. When the probe reached the center, the light intensified and the ship's systems flickered. The ocean below began to rise, surface tension bulging upward into a glowing dome. Something beneath was waking up. The dome broke the surface, revealing a structure unlike anything human-made. A smooth sphere of liquid light solidifying as they watched. Every pulse from it matched Alara's recorded solar frequencies exactly. "It's a fragment," Noah whispered. "A piece of the sun." Sensors recorded impossible stability. No heat, no radiation. Yet immense energy. Jalen prepared the descent capsule. "We go closer." As they approached, the sphere responded. Lines of light branched outward like veins, linking sea and sky. The clouds above formed concentric halos. Alara reached for her recorder, but her device activated itself, displaying one word across the screen. "Observer." The sun had named them. Descending through the halo's light felt like sinking through air. Inside the sphere, time stretched. Every movement slowed, as if submerged in honey. Panels along the inner surface flickered with shapes identical to human neural patterns. "It's consciousness," Ilara whispered. The readings confirmed bioelectrical signatures woven through plasma. Noah's trembling hands steadied the scanner. "It's learning us in real time." Jalen's reflection shimmered on the golden wall, his outline repeating endlessly like a mirrored echo. Then the sphere projected images: Earth forming, oceans boiling, the first sunrise. They were seeing memories older than civilization, perhaps older than light itself. The realization dawned quietly. The entity inside the sun had just departed. It had seeded the universe with remembrance. When the sphere dimmed, the team found themselves adrift in still water beneath a dawn sky. The structure had dissolved, leaving only calm waves and a faint shimmer on the horizon. Their instruments showed no trace of the anomaly, except for one line of data repeating endlessly: "Origin confirmed." Ilara realized the sun's silence had been a transfer, a migration of knowledge from star to species. "It didn't die," she said softly. "It evolved and shared." Jalen exhaled, eyes on the brightening east. Noah smiled faintly. "We've become part of its memory." As the sun rose, its light seemed subtly different, gentler yet knowing. Humanity had not merely observed the cosmos. For the first time, the cosmos had acknowledged humanity in return. The world woke to a sunrise no one could describe. The light was softer, almost alive, its warmth carrying a hum too deep for ears, but felt within the chest. Across continents, power returned without explanation. Plants bent toward the dawn, their chlorophyll reflecting an unfamiliar hue. In NASA's Recovery Center, Dr. Ilara Voss reviewed spectral data. It showed a new element woven into sunlight, one unknown to science. Commander Jalen Ortiz coordinated global communication again, his voice calm with quiet triumph. Dr. Noah Grant found faint quantum signatures linking every device on Earth, as if the planet itself now resonated with the sun's frequency. "It's synchronized," he said. Humanity wasn't merely surviving the anomaly. It was evolving with cities once trapped in darkness flickered back to life. Satellites reconnected without reboot, their systems automatically recalibrated to the new solar rhythm. In the NASA lab, Ilara monitored the pulse still lingering in solar radiation. Gentle, steady, constant. "It's breathing with us," she whispered. Noah's analysis confirmed a global increase in magnetic harmony. Human brain waves across different time zones now shared identical resonance patterns. "The world's heartbeat," he said. Jalen smiled faintly, something rarely seen in days of endless tension. "Then we're part of its song." The sun had not vanished or died. It had changed its tempo, and the universe was listening. Outside, a shimmering aurora stretched from pole to pole, glowing softly even under daylight, a final signature of the awakening star. Weeks passed. Crops grew faster. Oceans shimmered with bioluminescence never seen before, and solar storms turned silent and precise. Humanity adapted instinctively, guided by rhythms they didn't fully understand. Ilara noticed subtle coherence in human innovation. Scientists worldwide making identical discoveries within hours of one another. "It's as if we're connected through light," she said. Noah confirmed solar particles now carried encoded information, quantum-linked like a shared thought network. Jalen stared at the data, realization forming. The sun gave us its memory. A hush filled the room. The anomaly wasn't an accident or invasion, it was inheritance. Somewhere between the silence and rebirth, humanity had been invited to join the language of stars. One evening, Ilara returned alone to the rooftop observatory. The sun hung low, glowing pale gold against indigo clouds. She watched through the scope, expecting the familiar hum of machinery, but instead heard only the quiet pulse inside her chest, matching the solar rhythm. "What are you now?" she whispered. For a heartbeat, the light flickered, resolving into faint shapes, Rings within rings, like eyes layered across infinity. She smiled, understanding at last that humanity had never been separate from its star. They were fragments of the same process, consciousness born from fusion's memory. Downstairs, Jalen's voice echoed over the intercom, steady and calm, telemetry stable. The sun's heartbeat continues. The era of silence had ended, replaced by harmony. In the months that followed, Earth settled into quiet equilibrium. The sun's pulse never faded. It became the baseline of every rhythm on the planet, uniting weather, tides, and even dreams in perfect resonance. The last entry in NASA's solar log carried Alara's voice. The sun was never silent. We just weren't listening. Humanity had passed through darkness and emerged illuminated, not by discovery, but by recognition. The universe was alive, aware, and it had chosen to speak in the only language all life could understand. Light. As dawn broke across a rebalanced world, Jalen, Alara, and Noah stood outside the observatory, eyes lifted to the glowing sky. Somewhere, beyond the edge of perception, 1,000 other stars seemed to flicker in reply.